guy gave me a compliment that I have a nice tie. But in my mind, I have such a low self-image of myself that every time someone says something, really he means to say that my tie is crooked and it's not straight and it's not nice and it doesn't match and it's so 2009, etc., etc. What's the big deal? Somebody who's oversensitive, somebody who has a very low self-image of themselves, inevitably will react that way to everything that's said. Because they feel that everyone can see right through me. Everyone sees all these perceived, these imaginary negative traits that I have, and everyone's commenting about them. That's what everyone's talking about. I feel embarrassed. I can't even walk into the kitchen. I have to hide and eat lunch in my office. Such a person can't have healthy relationships. Could such a person be happy? A person with such a low self-esteem, a low self-image, could they be happy? Apparently not. So common sense seems to tell us that these are three different areas where a person with a low self-image has extreme difficulty navigating regular, basic, daily life situations. Okay? Let's look at the flip side for a moment. What about somebody who's arrogant? Somebody who's arrogant, loud, seems to exude confidence, talks the whole time, ba-ba-ba. What would we assume? We would assume that the opposite is true. Such a person is so bubbly, so excited. Chances are this guy's a really happy person. He's got a very good self-image of himself, right? Not necessarily. Let's give it a step. You guys are all reading ahead of me, and you guys, I should quit. I should go home. Text number 8. Let's continue. An interesting discussion over here, okay? This is an allegorical discussion, by the way. Text 8. Okay?
They said to the Euphrates, "Why is your sound not audible?" "My deeds make me known," it replied. "When a person plants a plant next to me, it matures in 30 days. When a person sows a vegetable next to me, it sprouts in 3 days." They said to the tigress, "Why is your sound audible?" "If only my voice would be heard so that I may be noticed," it answered.
In other words, this gives us the flip side to the argument. Somebody who's obsessed with himself and with his own importance might be a desperate attempt, like we said earlier, to overcompensate. We're actually trying to conceal the feelings that we have. We don't want anybody to know what we think of ourselves. How do we hide it? By screaming the opposite. How do we show that we really are good people? By letting everybody know that we're good people. My father told me a story that when he was younger, you may have heard this, I said this in shul once. My father shares a story that when he was once younger, he was at a wedding. And you can imagine at a wedding what happens. We have two families, the bride's family and the groom's family, who really don't have anything to do with each other, right? The bride and the groom are getting married, and these two families, they meet. So what happens? So one of the groom's friends or family members or uncles gets up, and he starts talking about to the bride's family, "You guys don't know what kind of a husband you got. You don't know who you got into your family. If only you would know what kind of great guy he is," and on for 20 minutes he's hacking about the amazing groom that they just welcomed into the family. And there was somebody in the crowd who couldn't handle this whole business. And he says, "I don't understand something. When you walk into a museum and you see a beautiful picture, yeah, you see a beautiful drawing where there's a lake and there's a boat and someone's sitting in the boat and he's contemplating and he's looking at the waters and there's the sun and clouds and sky." He says, "Tell me, do you need a tour guide to tell you for 20 minutes what you're looking at?" No. If the tour guide has to tell you that it's a lake, it's the first sign that it's really not a lake. When you need somebody to tell you what it is, then it means that it's not self-evident on its own. It needs interpretation. So a good picture doesn't need anybody to show you what it is, doesn't need anybody to tell you what it is. It is! Look at it and you see what it is. In other words, somebody who draws attention to themselves a little bit too much, like we said earlier, it's overcompensating. They're trying to show a different side than what's really there. Now, not every arrogant person deep inside is overcompensating. Some arrogant people really think of themselves as $1 million, a God's gift to this world, right? So maybe such a person can be happy. Maybe the real arrogant person who's really happy, maybe he is happy. The answer is he also might not be happy. Why not? What's the problem? He really feels good about himself. He really thinks he's God's gift to the world, and he tells everybody, what's the big deal? What's the problem? Who's here? Yeah, the question is, why is he not happy inside? Okay. Well, if people tell him that he's being too overbearing and keep quiet, it's a different story. But even before anybody has an opportunity to tell him, there's already a reason why he won't be happy. Where are we holding here? I lost track. Arlene, go ahead. Text 9.
There is more happiness upon receiving a gift than receiving a wage. One does not work for a gift and does not deserve it, so one can be happy upon receiving the gift. But a person works for a wage and deserves it, so there is less reason for joy upon receiving it. A person who is overly self-aware, who mistakenly believes himself to be of high standing, who therefore thinks that he deserves everything that he has, this person will have no happiness in all that he has.
A person who's arrogant might be happy about himself, but he won't be happy about the things that he has. Won't be happy about the things that he accomplished. And the reason is very simple. Imagine you're a doctor and you do work for somebody and you send a bill and you get a check in the mail next week. Are you happy about it? Is happy the right way to describe the feeling? The only time you'll be happy is if you did not expect to get that check. If you thought that you have a delinquent customer and all of a sudden the check showed up and you're jumping for joy, well, the first thing you run to the bank and see if it clears. But if such a thing happens, if you're expecting the check, what's the simcha, what's the joy? For sure, you come, you get services, and you pay for it, and that's life, right? I provided medical services. He gave me a check at the end of the visit. Goodbye, Charlie. What's the big deal? What's the simcha there? What are you happy about? Someone who's arrogant, let me just conclude the point, I'll take the question, but hold. Somebody who's arrogant to the extent that he really thinks it's God's gift to the world is not happy about the things that he has. He feels good about it, no doubt. He's happy about himself. But could such a person say he's joyous about the circumstances that he has? Is he joyous about the things that he has? I deserve it. What kind of question is it? Somebody wins a lottery is something which comes from nowhere, lands in my lap. That is what to be joyous about. A gift is something to be joyous about. You didn't expect it. You didn't think you deserved it. It's a reason to be joyous. Somebody who gets something that they expect and they think that they deserve, there's no reason to be joyous. The opposite is true. If they wouldn't get it, they'd be throwing a tantrum. Excuse me, what's going on? I provide you services, where's my check? So when they get it, okay, the guy paid up his debt and goodbye. So if you lend somebody money and they pay you back, are you happy? No, it's a business deal, we concluded it, and we move on. Joyous? It's not a matter of joyous and appreciating necessarily the things that we have. Go ahead, what's the question?
Well, that's what I was going to say, that having, dealing, say, with Parnassa, if you do your job, you get paid, you should get paid, but you're not guaranteed to have a job. I mean, so the benefits of what we have are, in many respects, the blessings that God gives you. I mean, you look at it from the standpoint that all these things that I have or what I've got is not necessarily because I did it. It's because that I've been given the abilities, or I've been given the opportunity. And so,
I think we could all close our books and go home. You said the whole lesson, by the way. Good job.
but that's really the way.
No, I mean in a good way, not in a bad way. Yeah, you're 100% right. That's exactly where we're getting at. It's exactly where we're going. One more point. Yeah, go ahead. Question?
I mean, if you work for something,
Yeah.
you work hard at it,
Yeah.
and you get a check, and it's a reward. Isn't that a sign of happiness that you got paid for what you did, for your work, and all that, for what you accomplished?
It's the way of life. Why should I be happy? It's normal life. A person gets a paycheck every 2 weeks. Does he jump for joy every Friday? Every other Friday? Most people don't. Why? I deserve it. What do you mean?
But I feel like I deserve it, and when I get the money, I feel happy.
For sure you're happy that you have the money because you have bills to pay. There's no doubt that there's an element of joy. I'm not saying there isn't. But as far as what you're getting, could you say that you're joyous with what you got and also, wow, also I'm a different person? So I had this 2 weeks ago, I'm going to get it in another 2 weeks. This is life. This is the way of life. I have to be happy about it. If I feel like I deserve it, then I earned it. Excuse me. For sure it belongs to me. Joy? Joy is reserved for things that come unexpected. Again, I'm not saying that you'll be sad when you get the check. I'm not saying that. Clearly you'll be happy in the sense that you'll be appreciative of it. Joy, does it really change your state of being? Depends how you view it. If you think you deserved it, so nothing I deserved it. It was supposed to come. It took a day late. Finally it came. Good. That's the way I look at it, at least, for myself. People might disagree with me. It's okay. Feel free.
You should learn how to experience joy from small things too.
Clearly, but the point is that what we're going to talk about now, what you're saying is right, but we need to teach ourselves. What you're saying is things that we need to learn. We need to learn how to appreciate those things. Humans weren't necessarily created that way, and that's what we're working on over here. We're working on over here to dig a little deeper and to discover things that some people may not be happy about, may not experience joy from, and we're teaching ourselves tools how to experience joy even from those things, exactly what you just said. Yes?
You comment about people whose self-esteem is such that they don't feel that they should be receiving a gift?
Shouldn't be receiving a gift.
Well, we're talking about how when we receive
But a gift is something that we haven't earned. A gift is something that somebody gives us. We didn't earn it. We didn't ask for it. We didn't deserve it. We didn't do X amount of hours and we get X amount of wages for the work we did. It's a gift. Someone did us a favor. We did a favor for somebody. I did somebody a favor. I went shopping and I picked up an extra case of diapers for you. And then I came home and that's it. And then a couple days later, you bought me a gift. You bought me a box of chocolates.
I think he's commenting though that
Unless I'm totally off. Yeah, what?
I think what you're saying is you gave somebody the gift, but the person is incapable of even receiving happiness from that. They don't want it. He was asking you to comment on that.
Someone who doesn't want the gift.
No, they don't feel they deserve the gift.
Deserve it.
Does that
That's
mean
fine.
that these people intrinsically have major difficulty in ever becoming happy?
No. When I get something that I didn't deserve and somebody gave it to me anyways, it's a gift. I'm very happy. I appreciate it.
No.
Unless
saying
I'm
their
missing a link
self-esteem is such that they don't believe that they even deserve for somebody to give them a gift.
Yeah, that's possible. And nevertheless, the fact that this person came and gave me the gift makes me feel very good. That somebody sees value in me.
But there are people who don't.
Who don't react from that.
I think they deserve to not get the gift.
They think they deserve a slap instead of a gift. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. No, so here's the thing. So I just want to point something out. It's quite possible that such a person needs a mental health professional. I don't want to. No, I don't say that lightly. I don't say that lightly. What we're saying over here is not a replacement for real help. We're talking over here about enhancing our self-image by giving us psychological tools. But again, what you're describing, again, if it's an extreme case, yeah, such a person might need help. There's no doubt about it. Such a person who's unable to accept a gift because he views himself so low, it's very possible. Yeah. Clearly it's possible. Yeah. Last question, then we'll continue.
Well, it's not a question, it's just comment though. Pirkei Avot says that if the person is happy, the person is happy with what they have.
We'll get to Pirkei Avot in just 1 minute. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let's continue inside over here. With one more point, and I just want to comment. An arrogant person, okay? And it was mentioned, and I just want to clarify for just 1 second. Somebody who's an arrogant person, in America we say he's in for a surprise. And the reason is because whatever our parents tell us is not necessarily the way people on the outside see us. Our parents tell us you're so smart, you're so good, you're so good looking, you're so capable, you're so athletic. And then we come to school on the first day and the kid gets bullied. And then what happens? He doesn't understand there's something wrong over here. His mother told him that he's a great guy. He came to school thinking he's God's gift to the world. He comes to school, the first day he gets bullied, what happens? He's incapable of dealing with it. He says, what's going on over here? Am I God's gift to the world, or am I a target? Well, who exactly am I? So somebody who is arrogant is somebody who will encounter disappointment in life. And for that reason also, he might be setting himself up for disaster with regards to being happy, because not everybody sees us the same way we'd like to see ourselves. So if we go around feeling that we are God's gift to the world, inevitably some people can give us a kick in the pants and remind us, maybe not. And it's going to happen. And if parents set their kids up that way, and if we set ourselves up that way, we will be in for a surprise. So that's again another reason why somebody who views himself with extreme arrogance and self-confidence might not always be the happiest person. Now, so we have here a bit of a problem. What's our problem? On the one hand, we said that somebody who has too much of a who has a self-image problem, somebody who views himself very low, has a very hard time being happy for the 3 reasons that we mentioned, the 3 deficiencies. On the other hand, somebody who is arrogant also might not be happy. So the question is, what is a happy person? Where does a happy person find himself? So seemingly neither of our 2 original options really engender happiness. So where exactly does a person get happy? Where does a person draw the ability to become happy? And the thoughts, again, it's about thought. The Zohar says that joy and thought are the same word. What can a person think? What can a person tell himself? How does a person view himself to foster a feeling of happiness where he'll feel better about himself and at the same time not get into any of the pitfalls of ego, of arrogance, or into any of the pitfalls of too low of a self-image? In order to understand that, let's continue with text number 10. Where were we holding? Alex, go ahead.
Be very, very humble.
Very, very humble. A statement of the Mishnah. Okay? The commentaries want to know, why does the Mishnah have to tell us very, very? Is one very not enough? Very, very, very big trouble. Very. You're going to sit in the corner for 4 minutes instead of 3 minutes. Kind of very. Very, very humble. So So one of the common explanations for this is that in most human character traits, extremes are not healthy. Okay, and I'll give you one quick example, okay? Spending money, okay? Spending money, there are two extremes. Either a person can be stingy, and somebody runs around to 6 stores until they buy a loaf of bread because that store has it for 30 cents cheaper. Unfortunately, this happens. Okay? At the same time, yeah, you can talk about it, I'm serious. I know people who live their way like that. At the same time, on the other extreme, we have people who don't think twice. They walk into a store, they rack up a $1,000 bill, they don't think twice. Whatever, you know, they say a rule, don't ever walk into a store when you're hungry. It's dangerous. Dangerous for the credit card bill. It's fatal. So what happens if a person has the opposite extreme? He spends too much. Is that healthy? No, not necessarily healthy. A person has to have a calculated life. A person has to know when to put away some money. There are all sorts of things that are important in life. On the other hand, does it mean that I can't ever buy myself a Coke and I'm in the mood of indulging a little bit because I have to save for my children's college fund? No, I'll indulge once in a while, you know. And it's all about the balance. One extreme or the other extreme is never healthy. Says the Mishnah, when it comes to humility, there's no middle ground. Very, very humble. There's no middle ground. There's no such thing as a little humble. A little humble, we switch off. Sundays I'm humble, Mondays I'm not. Tuesdays I am, Wednesdays. Says the Mishnah, it doesn't work like that. Very, very humble. Very, very humble. Okay? Does being humble mean that someone should have a negative self-image? Should look at himself negatively? The obvious answer is no. Jewish thought pushes, and I say pushes with the strongest words, that a person cannot look at himself negatively. A person can never devalue himself. A person can never tell himself that I'm worthless. Let's read a number of texts over here that bring out this point, the importance of having a healthy self-image. Go ahead, Madam. Text 11, please.
How do we dance before the bride? The school of Shammai says, each bride as she is. That is, praise the qualities with which the bride is endowed, avoiding anything untrue or exaggerated. But the school of Hillel says, refer to every bride as a beautiful and graceful bride. The sages of the school of Shammai said to the sages of Hillel, if she were lame or blind, do we say about her, a beautiful and graceful bride? Does not the Torah state, distance yourself from falsehood?
So you seem to have over here an ideological argument. What exactly are you supposed to say? If the woman is beautiful, so you have no problem. Say, beautiful bride, graceful bride. What if we know clearly this woman is not very beautiful, or the woman is not very graceful, at least in the way we look at it? So here we have a massive problem. What do you say? It says Hillel makes no difference, you say the same thing. For every single bride, you say the same thing. Comes Shammai, and Shammai says, I don't understand. Why do you have to lie? Say the truth. So the woman is not beautiful, she's athletic. The woman is not athletic, she's a gifted lawyer. So the woman is not a lawyer, she's a doctor. The woman is not a doctor, she's a great mother. There's so many things you can talk about. Why do you have to say something that might not be true? You have a question?
No, but isn't beauty in the eye of the beholder?
You're getting to the answer already, but give it a second. See, this class is so quick over here, I can really go home. So the question is, if you were a Hillel, what would you respond? If you were a Hillel and you had to respond to such a charge of saying falsehoods, what is it that you would say? So the simple answer is, it's all in the eye of the beholder. In other words, if this guy, this groom, married this bride, it's clear that he sees beauty in her. It's clear that he sees grace in her. I don't see it. What is this, a beauty pageant over here? There's a beauty contest going on. We're voting over who's the most beautiful woman in America? No! This guy is getting married. They're trying to make him feel good and make him be happy with the woman that he found. We're trying to make her happy with the groom that she found. Go ahead and do it. If she's beautiful in his eyes, that's all that counts. Because it's him that's marrying her and not me. If I was marrying her, I would say something else, but it's not me. It's him marrying her. He thinks she's beautiful by all means. Now here's the interesting thing. When we look at God's relationship with the Jewish people, so the relationship is also described many times as the relationship of a husband and a wife. As a bride and a groom. When we look at it from the discussion, from the perspective of the discussion of Hillel and Shammai, so God is the groom that chooses his bride. Now what happens if I look at somebody else, and I look at somebody else and I say, this is beautiful, this is graceful, this is a disgrace, it's a shanda, this is a disaster. Say, how could God ever want this person to be his bride? It's an embarrassment, her face is plastered with schmutz, this is impossible. What's the answer? The answer is someone asked you. Are you marrying him or is God marrying him? This is God marrying him. I don't view this person as something to be worth. God does. It's not up to me. In other words, even when it comes to judging other people, how do we view other people's qualities? We have to view somebody else as being the best. We don't see it, that's okay. We're not choosing them. God chooses them. And God sees value in what that person does. Why? What's the value? It's none of our business. It's not our wedding. God is not choosing the perfect bride over here, and we have a vote. We have no vote. All we need to do is make sure that we're beautiful. As far as the other person, that's God's decision with him. So we have absolutely no right, so to say, we have absolutely no right to look at a person and judge whether that person is worth something or is worth nothing. God sees value in everybody, and God chooses everybody to be his personal bride. And as such, God sees beauty in it. So even if we tend to look at someone else that has different values than us, we have no right to judge. We have no right to say that person is worthless. That person is absolutely worth a lot. We don't see it. That's okay. That's our problem. God sees it, and he's the groom. Now, what's the problem with excessive humility? If someone's too humble, if someone does not have a healthy sense of self, what's the problem? Let's continue over here with text number 12. Were we holding? Sorry? Oh, go ahead.
There's a well-known teaching by the Rebbe of Chabad. Just as we need to know the defects, so too we need to know our strengths. The anomaly of in this phrase is that it says our strengths, which with regard to defects, it merely says the defects, not our defects. What is the reason for this? In Leviticus, it states when a soul